Hello my lovely Flosstube friends, welcome back to the channel. It is February March update. What can I say? Missing in action doesn't even cover it. A huge welcome to the new subscribers to the channel, all 376 of you. Welcome and thank you for joining the fun of this channel. And for those of you that are returning, I know you've missed me. I've been gone, I'm back. What can I say? It has been a whirlwind of things that have been happening since February. What has happened since I last saw you? I've been on holiday for 2 weeks to the Caribbean. I've come back and been inundated with work because I had 2 weeks of catch up plus the day job. My mum come down with COVID, so I had that to contend with. I had the Essex Needles retreat for March, of which I attended, and I help with Elaine to run that. Yeah. I can't even say that there's an excuse for it other than life. Life is my excuse. And it has a lot to answer for. I've decided I want somebody else's life because, yeah. And this video, as an example, so the whole plan for this weekend, this bank holiday weekend, was to have the whole weekend to do stitching and fun things. And, yeah. And yesterday I ended up doing gardening all day, which is still a fun thing, but you know, when it's like I wanted downtime and me time. But Darren was still here. Darren's now gone away. He went away at 5:30 this morning and he's not due back until Monday. And the plan was to just, you know, get my Flosstube video done this morning, get it edited and uploaded, do a live stream tomorrow. And yeah, that was all just going to be a total breeze. And the rest of the weekend was supposed to be for me for stitching. Now, you won't know this, but this is like take 4 of this video. And it's not just take 4 as in I've done a portion of it. I've done this video 4 times over. So, yeah. I started videoing at 6 a.m. this morning and it is now 10 to 5 at night. And here I am doing it again. I've got a brand new camera, which is lovely, but it's very technical. And I've also got a new microphone system, which the connection to the camera and then when you edit it, yeah, it needs a little bit of tweaking. So, needless to say, I found out the hard way that actually you're supposed to tweak with the tech first before you actually do your videoing. But I didn't have time for that. And I thought I could just plug it in and go. And it is not a plug in and go type system. So there you go. That's a little bit of background of how this video is going. And yeah, so whereas I might have been a little bit more in depth on, say, version 1 and version 2 of this, you are now probably going to see the drilled down version because I don't think even I can speak much more. And I really want to go and do some stitching since as I have time to do stitching. It's like I want to stitch. And it's like all I've done is sit here and talk to a camera only to find that I've just wasted another 2 hours of my life. But it's all in a good cause. It is all in a good cause because I love Flosstube. I love the Flosstube community. I just need to, yeah, get the tech right. Get the tech right first time is what we need. Right. What have I been up to, I hear you say? That's what you're here for? Let me show you. Back at the end of last year, I had a finish. It was the Drawn Thread Welcome Christmas. I took it to the last retreat that I went to and the lovely Robert and Zarina from Hawkins Hobbies was there with their shop and with their framing service. I sat and chatted with Robert about possible frames and mat boards and all that good stuff. And he said, leave it with me. Hopefully I'll be able to get it to you in time for the next retreat. And he didn't let me down. I am absolutely over the moon. Super happy with how it's turned out. I'll confess, I've already had it hanging on the wall. I know it's not Christmas. I know it's not. But I was like, I was so excited to have it and have it back that I was just like, I don't care that it's not Christmas. It's going on the wall. So it's been on the wall since I come back from the retreat in March. And probably I'll leave it up another month just because I can. But here it is. It's a gorgeous frame with the mat boards. When we was discussing it, we agreed with the green mat board and the red mat board. Now, what you can't see, let me bring it closer, is at the top of the Christmas tree, she says. At the top of the Christmas tree here, you'll see that there's a mother of pearl star. Now, apparently, because that's sitting so proud, it made it a bit tricky to get it to sit right. So what they done was they put some extra whiteboards in to give it extra depth. I'm so pleased that he did that, because I actually think it looks better. Even better than it was when we were sort of like mapping out what I wanted and what I was going to do. So thank you so much, Robert. I absolutely love it. Their service is lovely. Yeah, I got exactly what I asked for. So what more could I ask for? Now I just need for Christmas to hurry up and come round so that I can hang it up again. So happy with how that turned out. I'll just stack that there. Hopefully it won't fall over. What else to tell you? So I have done stitching. Arguably not massive amounts, but some for sure. Now, I joined Whipgo in January of this year because I found that it held me accountable, and I didn't do it last year, and I honestly think that was the reason that I had such a dreadful stitching year. That said, it's not going quite as I thought it would. I decided this year that I would have 2 boards to try and help me along with some of my projects that I feel that are getting rather neglected. Last year I felt that most of my full coverages were getting neglected, and the decision was made that I was going to have a full coverage board and then I would have a everything else board, so that way if I had projects that I felt needed more attention than others, I could sort of load them up in such a way that certain projects would get more touches. So given that I'd already said, I think on my year-end review, that I was going to make my Chatelaine and my alternative reality focus pieces for this year. So what I did as part of making those boards was to make sure that my Chatelaine was more dominant on one board and that my alternative reality was more dominant on the other board. Not to say that there isn't other stuff in there, there is. It's just that predominantly those two are sort of more on the board so that there's more chances of getting more touches on it. Now, I always go with themes rather than a project when it comes to all the others, not on the full coverage. Full coverage is based on the actual project. The other board is more themed. So instead of actually saying I had to stitch on a certain project, it was, you know, it either had to be autumn winter or it had to be, you know, a fancy lady or something along that line. So basically, so that the other one was, there was more flex, there was more choices that I could pick from. The full coverage board is just by project because I felt that I needed to be held more accountable to some of the full coverages because I just didn't seem to stitch them as much last year. Now, that all said, January went with the breeze. Of course, February was a complete disaster because I was going on holiday. I didn't manage to get February done at all. And then we came into March with my viewpoint was that, well, once I'm back off holiday, I can just play catch up. Well, here we are. 8th of April, I'm not caught up. I'm catching up. Now, some people say that when you do a Whipgo, if the number is called in February, you have to stitch on it in February, which if that's how you do it, that's how you do it. That's normally how I do it, but I'd already resided myself going on holiday in February that anything that I didn't get done in February, I would just roll to March. And as long as it gets done, as far as I'm concerned, that still meets its goal because it's just if it and when it gets done. Unfortunately for me, with the fact that I didn't come back from my holiday until March or in March, and then with my mum having COVID, me going back to work and the retreat, the month got away from me, and needless to say, I didn't manage to get March's completed either. Now, it's not to say I didn't get any of it done. I did. But what I basically am now left with is, obviously, April's numbers have been called. So I've managed to complete everything for February. But March, I've still got 3 outstanding that I didn't get done in March. So the 3 in March that I was supposed to have got done are obviously the ones that I'm now working on, along with April's numbers. So some of the projects, the numbers come up so that it was the same project twice, but it wasn't necessarily in the same month. They were like, one was February and one was in March. So just so that you're aware, the way that I'm having to sort of structure this month or so, and what I've been trying to structure is basically trying to play catch up on the projects that were part of Whipgo for February and March. So yeah, it's definitely a different approach, I must admit, because whereas before I'd be like, what do I fancy stitching on? This time I'm like, oh, I must stitch this and I need to get X number of days on this because that will complete Whipgo. So Whipgo is holding me accountable. Finally, something's holding me accountable. So where to start, people? On the whips, where do we go? Let's start with the biggest project, because this was the one that it gave me sleepless nights, let me tell you. So this is my lovely Chatelaine Evening in the Park. And you'll remember the last time I saw you with this, I had the corner done. Or I was finishing the corner. I hadn't quite finished the corner. And I'd basically decided that I was going to finish one corner, then move over to the other corner, and then do the outside border around the outside. Now, that was fine until I think it was Charlotte who finished her Evening in the Park not so long ago. I think she had some problems with things lining up. So I think she got all the way around and the border didn't match up. And then I was watching some Flosstube. I know, I have been watching Flosstube. I might not have done much stitching myself, but I've definitely watched Flosstube. There was someone on Flosstube where they basically said they kept making boo-boos in the borders. And the most heartbreaking thing is when you get all the way around and realise that it doesn't match up. And you know when you just have that moment, that like epiphany moment where I'm like, oh, what if my chatelaine doesn't match up? What on earth would I do if the border doesn't work? I can't make it so that it fits and that I've miscounted somewhere. So believe it or not, it's been something that was on my mind. And I was like, do you know what? I think I'd be devastated. I'd be more than devastated. I'd be crying if I get all the way around and find that it's all wrong and I've got to start ripping so much stuff out because it's so wrong. I mean, I may be able to fudge it if I had to, but there's fudging and then there's fudging. And the border, I don't think you can really fudge very much. So I decided, whilst I was stitching the specialty stitches in the corner, that it actually makes more sense for me to go around and do the border and just make myself much more happy and comfortable with the fact that this is actually going to meet up on the other side. So this is where we've got to. So here it is. And the last time I spoke to you, I was working in this section here. I hadn't done the specialty stitches, so I've finished the specialty stitches along here. And then I've started on the border around the outside. So this is just one colour. The inside of that needs to be filled in. There's a gate to go here. There's another border around there, and then that will meet up with, you can see the starting of the gate here. So I think my decision, now that I've sort of, had a moment of, oh, what am I going to do if this doesn't work, is I'm going to do another 2 sets of gates like this, finish the border around the outside. As long as that border fits without any problems, I will be a very happy bunny. And at that point, I will go back and finish the other corner and then do the beading. The other good reason to do it this way versus the way that I was going to do it, which was the 2 corners opposite each other and then do the border around the outside, is that I agreed at the last Mirabilia retreat with a number of ladies that they were all going to kindly stitch me a tree each. And there's enough of them that if the project revolves around the room enough, they will all be able to stitch a tree each, which makes me feel quite warm and fuzzy, because then I'll know that, I've got fellow floss tubers that have stitched a tree on this project for me. I really do quite laugh. I don't know why, but I find that a really lovely idea, is the fact that other people are going to stitch some trees for me. And I'll be able to say, well, so-and-so did this tree and so-and-so did that tree. Yeah, I don't know. It makes me all warm and fuzzy. I like to be all warm and fuzzy when I look at a project, and that one will make it so that I'll have such wonderful memories of retreats and fellow floss tubers and stitchers that have put a little stamp on my project. That I love that idea. So because I've agreed that with them and that they've said that they're going to do it, I'm not going until October. And although there doesn't really seem to be that much left to do on this project, there really is. And I don't want to end up in a situation that I haven't done the border, which means they can't then do the trees. So by doing the border makes it so that you can work out very easily where the trees need to go. But without the border, you wouldn't be able to do that. So that is another reason why I've chosen to do it this way. But the first main reason is that I'm starting to panic that what on earth do I do if this border doesn't match up? So my lovely evening in the park got 4 days worth of stitching in February and 2 days stitching in March. So yeah, not too shabby. When I say days, I'm only actually talking an hour here on the evening, or an hour there, or a couple of hours on a weekend. That's about my limit at the moment. So yeah, not too shabby, not too shabby. So back in February when I went on my holidays, I was undecided initially of what to take with me. And in the end, I decided I would take one really easy project and one maybe not so easy project. So the decision was made that I was going to take my Longdog sampler tap dancer with me, because it's literally a Silks for You thread, and then that's it. That's all I need. And would you believe it? I am a hair's breadth away from a page finish. So this one went away on holiday with me, but it also was my train project quite a few mornings on my way into work as well. So again, perfect travelling project because it's just one thread. And this is what I call mindless stitching. It just makes it so that there's not really much thought process that I need to put into this. So Tap Dancer got 8 days, of which it might best be an hour in the morning, one morning, but then on holiday. I think I stitched on this on the plane on the way over, not on the way back. So this just got sort of stitching on the way and whilst we was there. And this is where we've got to. Absolutely love, love, love. Now, when I say that it's a hair's breadth away from a page finish, there's like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 stitches there, and then literally just bring that border down, and that's a page finish. I'm absolutely gutted because the plan was that when I come back off holiday, I was literally gonna stitch this for an evening in bed or a couple of evenings in bed, and then that would have been a page finish. But best laid plans and all that, it didn't happen. All of the projects, as far as what I've stitched on, because I can't remember for the life of me the names of the fabrics and what I've stitched on, there will be a Google document in the description box below. If you go on there, it has all my projects on there, what I'm stitching it with, what count the fabric is, where the fabric come from, all the details that you might want to know. They're all down there in the Google document. So this one, I cannot remember for the life of me the name of the fabric. I think it's called April Showers, but I can't remember where it's from. It's a Silks for You thread, and I'm stitching this 2/2 full cross. But love, love, love. Love, love, love. So, Tap Dancer, like I say, it got 8 days worth of stitching on it. So, not too shabby. And I'm absolutely gutted that I didn't get it to a page finish, because I would have liked that. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll get that put up in the bedroom while Darren's away this weekend. Maybe when I'm laying in bed just before I go to bed, I'll be able to finish that down to a page finish, so that at least I can say that I've got a page finish on that one. That would be nice. That would be very nice. So that was one of the ones that I was stitching on. The next up is my Charting Creations, The Fairy Christmas. And this one basically is token gesture stitching. Literally, it got 1 day. Now, there is a reason for this. So let me just show you where I got to. This one I started stitching on a 25 count. Then I decided to try and up it, and I think we went up to about a 36 count. I started stitching it with one strand over one tent stitch and didn't like it. So I've ended up coming back to the 25 count. And this is where I got to. So not massive amounts of progress, but progress nevertheless. What am I not happy about? Let me see. Really, the only thing is the CXC threads. I'll be honest with you, I've worked with them now a little bit, and price point, they're great on price point. Coverage, they're absolutely fabulous on coverage. However, the fuzz and the fluffiness of them, it's not boding well for me. So I normally stitch with either a 26 or a 28 needle, mostly 28. And unfortunately, the CXC threads are really quite fuzzy and fluffy. So no matter how much I try to thread that needle, I need a needle threader to be able to thread. Now, when you're working on a full coverage where you're constantly changing the colours on your needle, I felt like I was spending far too much time trying to change the colour on the needle than I was actually doing any stitching. So that was starting to bother me anyway. But then the deal breaker for me was when I started pulling threads. Because they're so fluffy, it's hard to tell what is a full thread. And some of them were like literally just, I don't know, breaking. So you'd end up like with a half a strand of fluff, really, is what it looked like. So I'll be honest with you, because this is fully kitted with CXCs, I will persevere and I will continue to use the CXC threads. But I don't think I will be purchasing any more, not for my full coverages at least, because I just find them harder to stitch with. The coverage, like I say, the coverage is glorious. So in that respect, I'm gutted because I really, really love the coverage of the CXC threads. But the fuss and the faff that I have to go through to actually stitch with them, it just makes it unenjoyable for me. So unfortunately, I think I'm just going to have to suck it up and deal with the projects that I've got with the CXC threads. I'll use them, finish the projects, and anything new going forwards, I think I will be resorting back to the DMCs because I'm just not getting on with them. That's not to say that they aren't a great thread. I'm sure they are. And for people that use maybe a bigger needle, I'm sure it's still fine. But for me personally, it's just not working out the way I wanted it to. So like I say, I got fed up with having to keep using the needle thread out to thread the needle for that project. So it literally got one evening and that was its lot. What else did we stitch on? So I also pulled out my Halloween Quaker by Lila Studios. Again, this was like a token gesture. This one's being stitched on a 40 count Newcastle linen that I hand dyed myself. It's being stitched 1/1, no, 1/2 full cross in the called for colours. And this is where we got to. So literally I just did this bit here. That's it. But yeah, I absolutely love stitching on this. And I think once I've got some other projects out of the way that are good bedroom projects, I think this one would be a very good bedroom project as well. So again, loving stitching on it, just not getting to it as much as I would like. Next up we have the High Heels Collection Soda Stitch. This is the one where I've already got one collection already stitched and framed up in my dressing room, and then this is going to go with that. There's also a third set which I'm going to stitch up, and then I'll have all three sets hanging. Now, last time you saw this, it was almost a completed finish of a shoe, all barring I hadn't put some of the greys and the whites on. So here it is. So I've filled in this section here, done some more back stitching in this section, and then just filled in the whites and the greys where they needed to be filled in. So we have another shoe finish, the two shoes together. That's what it looks like. So there's one more shoe to complete on this one, and then this is a finish, and then I've got one more whole set of shoes, and then I can go and get them framed. And I'm going to get them framed identically to the one that I've got upstairs, so that all three can hang together one above the other in my dressing room. So super, super happy with that. That only got 1 day's worth of stitching because literally I just had those little bits to fill in and to get the completed shoe. So that was pretty much most of February with a bit of March thrown in. Next up we have the Little House Needleworks Summers ABC. This is the one that is charted in like a browny sort of orangey colour. I decided that I wanted mine on pink, so I changed all of the colours up to a whole different colourway. Most of this I got stitched last year. I think we was doing it on the live streams. Then it was sort of put out of the way, especially with sort of Christmas and winter. It wasn't the sort of thing that I wanted to be stitching on. But I've decided that it needs to come out because we're at spring already. I know, I cannot believe I'm at spring. And really, this project should be done. It should be done and finished. So here is where we've got to. And this bit at the top. So I basically was working this on the train. So I finished the M, lemonade, and then I'm just working on this little section here. So yeah, and like I say, I've picked my own colours. There's various colours on this. If I'm not mistaken, this fabric is a 28 count linen by Pulse Stitches in the colourway Tudor Rose. I love the colour of the fabric, and I think it really, really works on this project. So the plan is to use this as my train project to get it finished, so that way I can get it finished, like FFO'd, and hanging up for summer, because summer's not too far away. I know it feels like it's miles away, but it's really not. If it's anything like winter, I blinked and it was all over. So summer ABCs, that got 2 mornings on the train. So again, just two mornings, that's all it's had. What else did we stitch on? We also have stitched on my Peacocks Lagoon. So Peacocks Lagoon got 2 days worth of stitching. And it was literally token gesture and purely to get my Whipgo board up to date. So I think I did this on a Stitch With Me last week, and then I did like another day. So literally it got about, I don't know, 200 stitches in it. I think when I was doing the Stitch With Me, I think I was filling in around here. Or possibly here, I'm not too sure. But this is basically where I've started going across. But love, love, love. But again, this is a huge project. It's going to take years to complete. This one's being stitched on, she says. I can't remember whether this is a 25. Yes, this is. I think it's 25 count, 2/1 tent stitch. There we go. It'll look lovely once I get going. Once it works its way down. I'm looking forward to just sort of getting this moon finished. All that white is against white is, yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting for stitching, not. So that got 2 days. That then covered what was needed to complete on my Whipgo. So super happy about that. So what else did I stitch on? So the projects that I took on my holiday with me was my Tap Dancer by Longdog Sampler and also my Magwayen. Now, there was a comment that was left, or there was some comments that were on the Teresa Made Me Do It Facebook sale page, where, because I've been AWOL for so long, some people was just like, they made comments like, well, maybe she's gone off the projects. Maybe she's not doing the live streams because, you know, she's lost the inspiration. Maybe she doesn't like the project. I can assure you that is not the case. Life is the cause of the reason that I haven't done the live streams. As much as I would love to do the live streams and upload lots of videos, the reality is that I still have a day job. And the day job is what pays my wages. And then I've also got my family and life. And that's a necessity too. Anything that I do to do with Flosstube, live streams, stitching, that's me time. That's extra time. So if I don't have the extra time, I can't do those things. And no disrespect, but when you're working all day and then you come home and you've got all your chores and all these other things that you have to do, there are times when you sit there and say, right, okay, time out, it's my time. I find when I do the live streams, I don't actually get much stitching done. I do a lot of talking, but I'm very good at that. But I don't actually get much stitching done. So if I feel that I need therapeutic stitching, then that is when I'm like, no, I'm not doing a live stream, or I'm not doing Flosstube videos. I'm just going to spend a bit of time for me with my stitching and just have me time. So sometimes it's a case that, okay, I might not be doing anything and I might still do some stitching, but that's because I haven't stitched for, days, or possibly barely touched any of my projects. So please don't think that just because I don't do a live stream every Sunday or every other Sunday, or I disappear for a little while, that I've lost my stitchy bug, or that I don't want to stitch on the project, because I do, and I will, but as and when I can. So just to prove that I still do love her, and she still has been stitched. In fact, arguably, she's got more stitching on her in the time that I didn't do it on a live stream, because I wasn't talking. I was stitching, which is, yeah, it's nice to actually get some progress on mine. So here is where I've got to. So I don't think that's too shabby. I've got most of this black done. So yeah. So this got, what did this get? This got 5 days worth of stitching, of which 1 day it was on my holiday and 4 days has been since I've come home from my holiday. So love, love, love. The fabric, I can't remember for the life of me what fabric it is. But it's hand dyed by me. It's my hand dyed. Like I say, all the details are in the Google documents below. But yeah, love, love, love. It does need more love, but it's finding the time for all this love that these projects need and deserve. But yeah, I mean, the point that I made about Flosstube and life and not doing the live streams, I know it would be lovely if it could be done weekly, but and it's not just me. These people that do Flosstube, unless you are retired or you're a stay-at-home mum that can find spare time, that you do your stitching, but you've also got time to do recording. These videos, they take a long time. We have to record it, then we have to edit it, then we have to upload it, and then we have to do thumbnails and descriptions, and then we have to answer comments. There's a lot to it. So it does take up a lot of time. The live streams, although they don't take up a lot of time for the whole recording and editing, there's still the whole, you have to set it all up. You have to get it all set up. Then it's, for me specifically, when I do the live streams, although I do a lot of talking, because I have to keep looking up and looking at the comments, I tend to get very little stitching done. You may get all the stitching done, but I definitely don't. I get a bit of stitching done. And I do thoroughly enjoy chatting with the community. I love that bit. But then I always find that later on in the week when, time's got away from me and work's got me down, and I'm sitting there thinking, I haven't done any stitching. And then Darren will say to me, but you done your live stream on Sunday. And I was like, yeah. I said, and everyone else stitches. I said, and I don't get any stitches done. Because I'm too busy talking. So when I'm doing the live streams, I don't actually get any stitching done. Or very little stitching done. And I don't know very many Flosstubers that do live streams that actually get that much stitching done, because we're busy concentrating on the comments and reading, and then trying to count, and then trying to sort of work out what thread we need next. It's multitasking on a whole nother level. I love doing it when I can, but then if I feel that my stitching has been neglected, then those are the evenings, really, that are the only evenings that I can sit down and actually do stitching. Because the rest of my weekend is took up with housework, shopping, walking the dogs, seeing my mum, family stuff. You know how it is. It's a thing, right? It's a thing. But yeah, I mean, I love my live streams when I can do them, but I can only do them when it feels right for me. If I know that I'm not up against it and I haven't got other commitments, or that I don't feel that I need downtime, like me time, where it's away from everything and away from everyone and just sitting there stitching. I don't get much of that time anymore. I used to when I was basically off from work and, either recovering or sick. I used to get a lot of stitching done, but things change, right? And unfortunately for me, yeah, all this work. It feels like it's lots of work and no play. So that was the lovely Magwayen. And then finally, so on the live streams, for those of you that have been on them, you'll be aware that there was a discussion about ducks. I know, ducks of all things. Well, the discussion actually transpired into a thing, and it was decided that there would be some golden fitchet fancy ducks being stitched as part of the Teresa Made Me Do It sale. And because we all went off and had a little look at them, and we was like, oh wow, they are fancy ducks. There was quite a few of us that fell down a rather large rabbit hole where the decision was made that we would have a new start on fancy ducks. So whilst I was away at my retreat, there was a number of people that joined me on the Start a New Duck. So I decided to go with the Golden Fitchet, the Little Princess. And the fabric that I'm using is my Fortnite Fabrics Fabric of the Month colorway Q. It's a gorgeous color. It's like a nice sort of grey color. So because the duck isn't full coverage, it's just the duck that's full coverage. I couldn't put it on white because obviously part of the duck is white and it would have got washed out. So I needed a fabric, but not something that would detract from the stitching. And I thought this grey was the perfect choice. So I made a start on it whilst I was at the retreat. This is where I got to. She says, let me put something behind it to make it easier to see. So I started this whilst I was at the retreat. And then when I've come back from the retreat, I've started to work my way up the top here. This is like his little crown thing on top of his head. And I will work it exactly the same way as I do any other full coverage. It will still be in 10 by 10 blocks. But because, like I say, the duck is full coverage, the whole project isn't full coverage, I can't put it on a gridded fabric because I don't want white or ecru. I wanted a coloured fabric. So I'm just going to do it exactly the same as I normally do. And I'll just do it in blocks coming down. But yeah, absolutely loving that one. So my duck, like I say, got started at the retreat. So it was started on the Saturday and it's had one more day. So it's had 2 days worth of stitching so far. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to tucking into him. He is being stitched on, I think this is a 28 count Lugana. And I'm stitching it 2/1 half cross. For speed, of course, for speed. So that is the stitching. See, I've sort of, do you know what? It took me much longer to do this the last time. So that's all the whips of what I've stitched through February, March until now. Whipgo. Where do we sit on Whipgo now? So Whipgo now. So the projects from March that are being carried over, I've got 2 days on mini red Queen Red Dragon, 4 days on the Princess Duck, plus 5 days on the Princess Duck. I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, how can you have 4 days and 5 days? Well, the two numbers that were called in March were Princess Duck. So instead of having one project and then another project, it was actually the two of them. And I was like, really? So yeah, so we've got 9 days worth of duck to stitch on. And then April's numbers, I've got 5 days on alternative reality for April that need to be stitched. I've got 5 days on a winter / Christmas project that needs to be stitched. And I've got 4 days on a fancy lady for April. So what I was thinking is I might use my evenings and weekends frames, like big projects on the frames will be the full coverages. And then maybe the 5 days for the Christmas and winter and the 4 days for the fancy lady might have to be my train stitching. So the winter Christmas, I could pull out winter white Santa. Or I could start a Christmas ornament is what I could do as well. So that's decisions, people. And then for my fancy lady, well, I've got lots of fancy ladies now. I've got more fancy ladies than I know what to do with. So that is where I'm at. Now, the plan is that I'm hoping that April I will be able to achieve all of my Whipgo goals and basically clear the backlog. Now, whilst I was at the stitching retreat, there was a number of people that were not monogamous stitchers. But for some bizarre reason, they started stitching on certain projects and then decided that actually they were doing it monogamously or predominantly monogamously. And I was like, oh, wow. I was like, how did, is there any reason for that? And they was like, well, just, I really wanted to get some progress on it. So I decided that I was going to just monogamously stitch on it. And the progress that they've got is just, tenfold. So now it's sort of sown this little seed in my brain that it's like, well, I don't want to be a monogamous stitcher because I would get too bored with that. But I'm like, although I don't want to be a monogamous stitcher, it's like, well, what about if I was just sort of monogamous for a month or so? So what I was thinking is maybe May and either October or November. I don't want to do it in the summer because I know what my stitching's like in the summer. And I'm talking more just on the full coverage side. I was thinking maybe in May and maybe October or November, I would monogamously stitch on, say, one full coverage project for predominantly all of the time, other than my Whipgo goals, and see exactly how much progress I can get. Because, I would be quite interested to see. What about you? And, are there any of you that are not monogamous stitchers, but then went monogamous for a short period of time on a project? And, what was your experience of it? Because I'm quite intrigued. I sort of want to do it because it would be great to think actually I could get like a big chunk of work finished on some of my full coverage pieces. But then at the same time, I'm like, would I get bored? If I started it, would I get sort of like, I don't know, 2 weeks in and be like, oh no, I don't want to do this. So I'm interested to hear what other people's experiences have been. For those of you that are monogamous stitchers anyway, I get it. You have one project, you start it, you finish it, you move on. I get that. I'm talking about people that are not genuinely monogamous, but just all of a sudden went a bit monogamous on just one project, just for a short space of time to get it moving or to feel like you get some chunks of progress. So what else to tell you? Obviously, going to a retreat, you have shops there, you have goodies there. Now, I did show a lot of restraint, people, a lot of restraint. I don't need any more things in my life. I have enough trouble just clearing what I've got. But there were some things that I don't think you can have too many of in your life. And for me, that is project bags. So the lovely Susie was at the stitching retreat, but she wasn't at our stitching retreat. So Susie actually runs a quilting retreat. And she was in the room next door to us. So whilst we had our stitching retreat, she was in the next room with a quilting retreat, of which is hers. And because she was there and she had some bags, we was chatting and what's not to love? And I was like, well, it would be rude not to. So I purchased this lovely little beauty. It's got it's nice plain background with some little stars on. But absolutely loved that as soon as I saw it. And I was like, oh, and I've on purposely not used it. The problem that I have is if I put a project in this and put it up out of the way, I'll guarantee you that I will forget to have shown you it. So I on purposely didn't use it before I had this video done. So now it can be put to good use. Also, whilst I was at the retreat, we did a Pass the Parcel version. So it's not Pass the Parcel with music. It was Pass the Parcel with a story. So basically a story is written with lots of lefts and rights in it. And what you do is someone reads the story out and every time they say left, you pass the parcel to the left. And every time they say right, you pass the parcel to the right. So we done this game. The lovely Susie set it all up for us. And then she was the one that came into the room and read it all out for us. And it was fabulous. It was really, really funny. So needless to say, the parcels go round in different directions. And the idea is that your parcel ends up with someone else and you end up with someone else's parcel. So in my parcel, I got some gorgeous stuff. So I got 2 lots of fabric. Both of them are from Lakeside Needlecrafts. They are both 28 count Even Weave. The first one is in the colourway Haze. Here it is. It's a lovely, lovely mottled colour. It's like a greeny, bluey, peachy, pinky type colour. Love, love, love. And the other one was Smoky Oaky, which is more like a marbled blue. It's like a baby blue marble. I don't know if you can see the marble in it. Let me see. There we go. Love, love, love. And the fact that they're both in a 28 count even weave is perfect, because my go-to, so my fabrics of the month and those sorts of things, are all 25s and 28 counts. So yeah, fabulous. Love, love, love. They will come in very handy for some projects. You know, when you've got ideas in your head of what you can use them for. I'm already there. What else did I get? I also got in my little pass the parcel, I got Plum Street samplers, jeans and weenies. Look at this. How cute is that? Look at them little dogs. Love, love, love. So I got that beautiful chart. And I also got another Plum Street sampler. And this is Halloweenies. There's definitely a dog theme going on here. But given that I'm a dog person, it's, you know, it's right up my street. So love, love, love. And they're both smalls, which for me is perfect, because this is what I need more of in my life. I need time to stitch on them, admittedly, but I still need them in my life. Also, the duck. When I was ordering the threads from Arts and Design for the DMC threads for my Gordon Fitchett, the little princess duck, I was like, well, threads should not travel alone, even if there's a few of them. And I'd seen this stitched up at one of the other retreats and fell in love. Honestly, fell in love. This picture does not do it justice. I picked up this chart, and this is the Cathedral Woods Goddess by Mirabilia. It is divine. And the fact that I've seen how wonderful it is when it's stitched up, I just had to have it. Now, I've got no intentions of starting this anytime soon. I need to finish some of my other ladies first. So once a lady drops out, this one will drop in, because what's not to love about that? When you see it stitched up in the flesh, it's beautiful. It is really, really beautiful. So I got that one, and that one will just go into my stash ready for when I'm ready. What else to tell you? So also, whilst we was at the retreat, we done a bingo. I wasn't lucky. My name is not lucky. Someone else got a full house, and they went and picked up the chart that I was absolutely gagging to get my hands on. I was devastated. And she's like, Teresa, she says, don't worry. She said, I only picked it up because I was going to give it to you. And I was just like, oh. So Bernie, thank you so, so much, my love. I really, really love you for giving me this chart. Of course, it has got lots of white on it. Why I'm drawn to charts that have loads of white when I absolutely detest stitching white, I do not know. So here it is. It is Snow in Love. Love, love, love. Look at that. What is not to love? What is not to love about that? So that is a cottage garden design. Absolutely love it. Now, when I was first thinking, why on earth do I want something that's got more white on it? By the looks of it, it's not DMC white. It looks like it's a Weeks Dye Works white. So I don't think it's going to be as bad as a DMC. I think it's actually going to be more of a pleasant experience. So, yeah. So I've got that as well. But only thanks to somebody else. So thank you so, so much. I truly love you for giving me this chart. And then finally, a small amount of haul. And when I say small, it's very small. I was watching Flosstube, and I cannot remember for the life of me whose Flosstube it was that I was watching. And she mentioned this company. It's an Etsy store called Canny Little Fox. There you go. And she's on Etsy. It hasn't got the Etsy address on here. I'll put the link below for you. And she was saying about travel project folders, and I was like, I have to have one of those in my life. But then when I went on there, she also done grime guards. But get this, the grime guards are doggy grime guards, Would you look at this? Look, look, look. So there's that side. And then spin it around. There's this side. How can you not? How can you not want one of those? So I was like, I have to have that. I have to have that. So I got myself a grime guard. But the main reason to go there was because of this little beauty. So this is a travel project folder. Absolutely love the fabric. Cocktails and wine glasses and all that goodness. It's got a little elasticated thing to hold it all together. And then when you open it, ta-da! And look how small it is. It is a perfect travel project. It's got a pocket there. And then there's another pocket behind that. So you can put your chart in there. These pockets here. Again, more pockets, 2 more pockets. There's a felt section here for like, you know, your alts. There's this little bit here, which for me, I was thinking I'll put my needle in there so I don't keep losing it, because that is a thing. Or maybe stick my needle minder to that. And then it's got like a little hanger as well. It is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely love that. So I got myself one of those, and I was thinking, you know, for like ornaments or for some of the small sorts of things that I keep saying and threatening that I'm going to do on my train commute, this is a perfect thing to keep it all housed in. Because you're definitely not going to want a massive, great big project bag for some of the smalls. Or at least I don't think I will. So yeah, really, really looking forward to putting that to good use. So that is it, people, for the haul and for the stitching. What else to tell you? For anybody that is looking for a retreat here in the UK, the Essex Needles retreat for March 2024 has just been announced on the Facebook group. I'll put the details for the Facebook group here so that you can go and check on over. It's got all the details. It's got the dates. It's got the cost. It's going to be on a first come, first serve basis. We normally sell out really, really fast. I forewarn people, really fast. If you would like to reserve yourself a space on the retreat, you will need to have an email in the email box no earlier than 7 p.m. on the 14th of April. So the email registration opens at 7 p.m. on the 14th of April. So if anyone wants to get in, like I say, first come, first serve. So whoever gets their emails in first, any emails that go into their inbox before 7 p.m. will not be counted. It's from 7 p.m. just to make it so that it's truly, truly fair. But like I say, we sort of sell out super quick. So if you're interested, get your fingers on the buttons, get you a tapping on the tapping, and get those emails in. Like I say, 14th of April at 7 p.m. And then finally, I have a call for help from my lovely Flosstube friends and the community. For the life of me, I cannot find a suitable retirement pattern chart for a man. So my boss is retiring at the end of the year, and I really wanted to do him something nice that he could have hanging on the wall. So I don't want something really, really small. It needs to be something that's a reasonable size, but not huge. It can't be like a Quaker size or you know, something that's going to require massive amounts of stitching. But I cannot find a thing. I can't find anything that's suitable. I mean, there isn't anything that says retirement on it that I found. And then you look at other things and it's like, other than the fact that he loves his roses, I just haven't found a chart that would be suitable for a man for a retirement as a gift that you could frame and that you could turn it into something that looks really nice. So yeah, if anyone's got any ideas, I mean, literally I have Googled, I've gone on Etsy, I've gone to some of the obvious places, and I can't find anything as yet. So if you've got any ideas or that you know of any charts that would be suitable for a more mature man, a more mature man for his retirement, so that he can hang it up and it'll be like a little spot of remembering. Yeah, let me know in the comments below if you've got any suggestions, because I'm drawing a big fat zero right now. I'm drawing a blank. So there we go, people. that is it. That is February and March in a nutshell. I cannot believe that it's took this many takes of a video to get this loaded. Fingers crossed this is the one. I'm hoping that the audio is right, the camera is all right, and if it isn't, I don't really care. I think it's just going to go up however it is now, because yeah, I'm done with videos. It is now 10 to 6. 10 to 6, and I've done nothing since 6 a.m. This is 12 hours worth of trying to record a video. I haven't even started editing. So yeah, welcome to the world of Flosstube. So I wish you all a very wonderful April. I hope you get to do all the wonderful things, and that the temperatures are rising and the weather is becoming more acceptable to go outside, and that, you know, your flowers are starting to come out. I know ours are. I cannot wait for it to warm up just a hairbreadth more, please. Just a hairbreadth more. When I can walk around with a t-shirt on, I don't mind if I don't get to wear necessarily a pair of shorts, but definitely a t-shirt. That would be nice weather. That would be just up my street about now. So, like I say, I have plans for April. I now need to go and make those plans happen. The idea is the rest of this weekend will be stitching, if I get this video edited quickly enough. So on that note, thank you so much for hanging out. If you've enjoyed the video and you haven't done already, please hit the subscribe button. Give me a little thumbs up to let me know that you like it. And until next time, people, bye-bye for now.